So I just finished Death Stranding 2 and I really wanted to talk about it real quick. By the way, this review will have a lot of massive spoilers. So if you guys are not caught up with this game, if you guys are not done with this game, please close the video right now. So I finished Death Stranding 2 today and it was absolutely amazing. It was a wild ride from start to finish. I really don't understand why people are hating on this game or finding some dumb reason to hate on this game because it really was a great game. Everything about it was so amazingly done. Kojima and his whole team have absolutely outdone themselves. And I do want to talk about a couple of things in the game. Just review the game and give my thoughts on a lot of things. And the first thing I want to start off with is the introduction to this game was so insane and it was so well done. The visuals, the graphics, the way it opened up. Because at the start of the game, right, it's kind of showing the world, showing the animals and the nature, and then you see Sam, and he's holding Lou, and as he gets up, and the camera like zooms out, you just see this absolutely phenomenal view of this rocky terrain all around you. And that is literally how the game opens up. It looks absolutely beautiful. And it's like you just know you're in for a crazy ride. And the moment you start walking down towards the terrain, the mountains, and this music starts playing, it really just sets the tone of the game right off the bat. I think introduction wise, it was amazing because it wasn't like a crazy introduction where like someone is dying or people are dying or like a fight right off the bat like or like some insane tension in the air. It was just this view. It was you, Sam, holding the baby, and you're walking down the mountains towards your home, and it looked so beautiful. And the music was like the cherry on top. That was just so phenomenally done. I like I literally cannot even explain any more for that than what I've already have because it really was amazing. Like the moment you start Death Stranding 2, right? And that's your opener, I think it pulls you in right away. The introduction was just as good as the first game because in the first game it was more of a cutscene introduction where Sam is riding his motorcycle and you get introduced to Fragile, and there's a lot of greenery in that first game, especially in the introduction. In this game, it's more of like a rocky terrain, like a desert kind of color. So yeah, that was just amazing. But what I do want to say is that this game, just like the first one, requires a lot of patience. I mean, literally, like if in the first probably like 8 hours of the game you are making deliveries. But again, if you enjoyed the first game and you know that's how it goes, then of course I don't think people are gonna complain about that. It's just gonna be a lot of people who have no patience towards a slow and gradual build up. A lot of people want something right off the bat and whatever, whatever suits your taste. But this slow build up is worth it because it was like the same thing in the first game where you're making deliveries for hours, and then once that cutscene played where Fragile is at home and she's trying to protect Lou, and Higgs and his people come in and they kill Lou. That was like the start of the story for me. That was where the story really started. So it starts way down, like into the game, like way later, probably like 8 to 10 hours later. And but it's worth it. It's worth it to see because it's like it's a build up towards that. Like Fragile comes to his home and they need Sam, and he goes out on his journey for the deliveries, and Fragile's the one taking care of Lou. So again, like the cutscene was super good. The cutscenes in this game, every single cutscene, you can tell how much care the Kojima Productions put into each cutscene. It is so crazy what they've done. The flashbacks, each of the characters having flashbacks, like Tarman having his flashback. Who else was there? There was Dahlman having his flashback, Rainey having her flashback, every flashback and the way the the cutscenes were in those flashbacks was so well made. It was so beautifully done. The music, and I think a lot of people don't talk about this enough, the coloring in the game. Especially like for example when Fragile saves Dalmet and the sun is like rising and you just see like the tar and the Magellan just lifting up from the ground. Or when Fragile recruits Rainy and the sun is in the background, it's raining. It just looks so beautiful. It is insane. Tarman's flashback with how the sky was clear blue, he was surrounded by tar. It just all these cutscenes they capture a vibe to them, and I think every cutscene in this game was so crazy. It was so well done. Like even like the ending cutscenes, like when you find out what really happened with Fragile and Lou, and Fragile walking with Lou in the realm of the dead, giving Lou to the dead, to the ghosts, and Neil's army like protecting Lou until she's older. Like, and on top of that, like Neil's flashback, Neil's story, the way the cutscenes were directed, everything was just so well done. Like I cannot imagine someone complaining about cutscenes in Death Stranding because Kojima, you can tell he put his heart and soul into these cutscenes, and they are so well done. It is like they are literally each cutscene was a 10 out of 10. Each cutscene just gets better and better than the last. I see one cutscene, I'm like, how are they gonna top this? Because when I saw Tarman's cutscenes, I really enjoyed Tarman's cutscenes. I don't know why. It was just like the ambience, the vibe, the whole setting, how they were on the water or the tar, I should say. And I'm like, this was amazing. Like, I don't know if another cutscene is gonna capture what this has, but I was wrong. Every cutscene was just getting better and better. And when they showed Rainy's cutscene near the end, when her song started playing, when the Rainy's theme song started playing, like it like evoked an emotion in me. Like no game has ever done this before, and I literally like I had no words when Fragile recruited Rainy and the music starts playing because like through all that, right? I'm not gonna go too deep into what the cutscenes were, but basically Rainy was suffering and suffering, and she had no place, no home. And Fragile comes in, and she basically like saves her. She's like, you come work for me. Your powers are a blessing. And Fragile does this with other people too. She does this with Dollman. Dollman has like he's like his cutscene was insane because when he got trapped into the doll, when his soul got trapped into the doll, he was saying he was useless. And Fragile just is smiling, and she's like, "Why don't you come work for me instead?" And I just loved Fragile in this game. And uh, like everyone's acting, right? Every everyone's acting was so well done, especially Troy Baker, right? Like I loved Higgs in the first game. He was so unhinged, and I loved him in the second game too. But I just want to talk about Fragile for a second. She is literally the liberator of Death Stranding 2. She is the person that's guiding the Magellan. She is like the leader of the group. She is the one that's saving these people. She is liberating these people, giving them a home, giving them a purpose. She does the same thing with Tomorrow. She takes her time, spends her day with Tomorrow, tries to teach her things. And I think it's so well done. It just shows who she is as a person, her leadership qualities, the way she was so devastated when Lou died. Like you can tell it really had an effect on her. And I think it was just so well done. Fragile's character, and I just couldn't believe when she died because she died at the beginning of the game, and you never know until the end of the game. And again, Fragile is this liberator. The way she goes to these characters and she's like, "Come work for me," you know, and these characters they're like pulled in by this, and she recruits them and gives them a home, and I think that was so beautifully done. It really reminded me of Luffy from One Piece because he goes to characters who are suffering, right? They have horrible backstories, and he's like, "Come join my crew." So in this essence, like she is a liberator, and I really enjoyed her cutscenes and how she interacted with the characters. It was phenomenal. Of course, other characters too, like they were so good. Tomorrow was probably like my favorite character in the entire game. Just in general, like when they had her on the front lines, right? That first time we see her fight, I instantly fell in love with the character. She was just so awesome on like to see in the cutscenes when she came to save Sam from the robots and she was just like killing all the robots. It was nuts. And then the second time where Fragile, Hey, Tomorrow and Rainy all come to save Sam from Higgs because that scene alone was so great. If I really go into every scene that I loved, I will be talking about this game for hours. This video is not gonna end. So long story short, Higgs catches Sam's off guard, right? And he starts torturing him. He finds a way to torture him. So every time he comes back to life, there's this flame, this everlasting flame that activates instantly because it reacts to chiralium. So every time Sam came back to life, every time he repatriated, he would start burning up from the flames. And I'm like, holy crap, what's about to happen? Like the crew needs to be here, right? They're in the Magellan. There's so much stuff going on. And all of a sudden, we see Fragile and Tomorrow just speeding through on the motorcycle. Fragile breaks and Tomorrow just flies into battle. And for a second, I really thought she was about to die there. Like that whole fight was so crazy because Higgs had the upper hand. He was like beating her up, but then Tomorrow had the upper hand, and she started beating the crap out of him. I was rooting for her all the way. Fragile going up to Sam, trying to figure out what to do, and then eventually Higgs leaves, right? And Tomorrow and Fragile don't know what to do. Sam keeps coming back to life. He keeps burning up, and then it starts raining. So Rainy comes. She starts walking towards them, and when her music starts playing again, it was so emotional. Like that raw emotion that it just brings to the player, at least to me. I loved it. I loved the fact how every character is playing a role. Because Fragile, she can't teleport because she'll get jump shocked. So instead, she's basically driving the motorcycle to the battle, right? Tomorrow is the one holding off Higgs. And then at the very last moments of the cutscene, Rainy comes. And I think that was so beautiful and so well done because we see Rainy's flashback, right? We see how she suffers. She was shunned from her city, from her people, because she would make it rain. They would see her power as a curse. But she comes in, right? And who needs her but Sam? The whole crew needs her. They need to figure out a way to save Sam, and she makes it rain. And that timeful rain puts out Sam's fire. And I think that was so beautifully done. Like that was just so good. It's probably one of my favorite cutscenes in any video game I've played. It was just that good. From the start with Sam getting tortured to Fragile and Tomorrow pulling up and Tomorrow fighting Higgs. Crazy fight. And then at the end Rainy coming in to put out the fire that keeps killing Sam over and over again. It was insane. I think it was beautiful. And uh yeah, all these characters play such a great role. Like it's so crazy. Nirvana, at the start you think he's such a bad guy. Like, what is his connection to Lou? Why is he trying to attack Sam? And I was just so confused because I'm like, yo, is Nirvana Lou's father or something? Why is he so protective of her? What is his deal with her and Sam? And then later on, when his story all connects and you see the cutscene and you see that he is just a broken man, but because of a woman, because of heartbreak. The woman that he loved somebody else, and even though they hadn't, he didn't know that. Like at that time, Sam didn't know that Lucy was cheating on him, and then Lucy ended up pregnant with Sam's kid, and Neil's like, I don't care if he's his kid because I love you, you know. And she's like, but I love him. And this upsets him and he leaves, and she calls him back a little while, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks later, and she's like, I need help. Bridges is after my child because he's the son of a repatriate. I have to tell him that he's your kid. And at first Neil is like, no, like you broke my heart. You played me. Like, why would I do this? But he caves in because he really does love the woman. He really does love her. And it was just so sad because he's just a victim in all this. He was just trying to help the woman he loves, and because of that, he dies for it. Bridges did not fall for their lies saying that it was his kid, and he ends up getting shot. He ends up getting going necro, causes a void out, and but I love how it's beautifully done because I have not seen anybody talk about this. Neil's purpose, right, in the game later on was to protect Lucy and Lou. When he dies, right, it's like he failed in his purpose. But when Lou ends up in the underworld, in the realm of the dead, he protects her until she's grown, until Sam comes and takes her away. His story is complete. His purpose is complete. And that was just so well done. The story of Nirvana was so well done. The fact that his story was complete, the fact that he was able to be at rest because he protected the child of the woman he loves. He was able to keep the promise to her. Like, every character in this story is just so crazy to see their story, the emotions that they bring, and I just think that it was just so well done. I love seeing Omli in the game again. I love seeing Heartman in the game again. All these old characters, but even the new characters just had this connection. And I think Kojima really made it in a way where you get pulled in not only just to the old characters, but to the new characters as well. The ending of this game just absolutely blew my mind. I do not know how I didn't figure out sooner that tomorrow was Lou, especially when she was acting like a kid when they found her. I could not believe that went past my head because I was so like confident that that samurai that kept coming in to help us was Lou. Now I know that sounds weird, but like the first time we see the samurai or the second time we see the samurai when he pulls up and starts fighting Higgs, um, you hear a baby laugh coming from the samurai, and then you hear BB's theme, like the lullaby, and I'm like, holy crap, that's Lou. I was 100% certain that was Lou. Somehow controlling the robot, I don't know, but I was just so sure of it. But it turns out that was Deadman because he had a love for BB. He would have that theme playing and he had that laugh playing. And I was like, what in the world? When that reveal happened, I was like, bro, what is going on? Then I was so confident Lou was dead. I'm like, if Lou is not the samurai that keeps helping us, then Lou has to be dead. And I just couldn't, throughout the whole game, I couldn't believe Lou was dead. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't come to terms with it. Because we were with Lou in the first game. The first game I clocked in at around, like, what, 70 hours? 75 hours? And you're with Lou the whole time. This character, this baby that's with us the whole game, dead after 10 hours in the second game. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't come to terms with it. I was so sad about it. I'm like, bro, like, I love Higgs as a villain. That's why I'm like, yo, frick what Higgs did to Lou, man. I hate Higgs. And for me to hate a villain like that is such a good thing because that just means they made the villain so well. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. Especially like first off, I was already confused when Sam said that not sorry, not Sam. Higgs said to Sam that tomorrow is your daughter. So I thought, okay, maybe Sam had a kid and whatever, some different person. But it turns out that was Lou, and it was him, his and Lucy's child. So I couldn't. That was like a crazy plot twist to me. I could not believe that it went past my head. I couldn't figure it out at first. I also want to talk about the fight with Higgs. Absolute cinema. Holy crap! I kept saying on stream. I'm like, yo, the first game, right? The showdown that they had. How are they gonna top that? How are they gonna top that? And they topped it. They did it so well. It was insanity. It was insanity. Again, the coloring of the background, the sun, like the fight in general. I love the fact that we actually get a chance to use the guitar in a proper battle and not just randomly fighting like people. We have infinite chiralium on the beach, so we get to use the guitar, and the guitar is the only thing we have. And I think that was really cool to see because it's just a super cool weapon. So you fight Higgs, right? And as you're fighting him, uh, the battle shifts, and you end up fighting him with like the sun or this flame in the background, with tomorrow being used as a sacrifice. And you're both fighting with your guitars. And during the fight, they just start shredding the guitar. Both of them just start like pouring their hearts out. It became like a musical for a second. And speaking of musical, I loved Charlie, aka Die Hardman's musical when his cutscene came up. Super cool to see. But they were just shredding the guitar, and you have to do like this button mashing event, and you just keep going and going, and they just, you could tell like both of them are just enjoying themselves. The player, me, I was enjoying myself. I was like, yo, this is a crazy scene, super awesome, right? And the way they just end the fight, like they're tired, and you just keep going and going, just like in the first game, but even better somehow. And yeah, at the end, like, um, I guess tomorrow's also, Lou, her her the form of her soul comes, which is basically a giant version, a version of her, but she's a baby, and she eats Higgs. So Higgs is finally gone. I also really liked Higgs's like story, the way he was talking about how he was suffering when him and Sam finally have that showdown. He's like, I've been on the beach for tens of thousands of years, because time moves differently on the beach. So I think everything about this game was well done. One thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, they hate the gameplay. They hate the gameplay." Okay, don't play the game then. You're missing out. You're missing out on probably literally one of the greatest games to ever be made. If you don't like the gameplay because you have to walk a lot, deal with it. It's crazy because in the trailer, in the gameplay trailer, and in Death Stranding 1, you get the idea that this is a game where you can walk, you can drive your motorcycle or your truck, but this is a game where you really enjoy the view. You take your time going from one place to another, you know? And me, when I was doing my missions, some of them I was doing just by purely walking because I loved seeing the scenery. I love seeing the view. I love seeing the mountains in the game, the lakes, like it was crazy to see. I loved being up high in the mountains and just seeing the view on the bottom. And sometimes I took motorcycles, sometimes I took a truck, and even then I would stop and just look at the view, and it was so crazy. Like, and I think a lot of people who are hating on this game don't realize that Death Stranding is made, right? That gameplay is made for you to enjoy these views, to enjoy like these sceneries, these beautiful places that are made in this game. So yeah, I think I love the gameplay. I love the characters. I love the music, the combat, the story, the plot twist. Like again, my mind was absolutely blown. I give this game a perfect 10 out of 10. Literally, I don't rate it anything less than that. Everything about it was good. It was even better than the first one, which is crazy because I also wanted to say this. I play a lot of sequels for games, and they're just not as good as the first one. They just have this missing spark to it. I don't know why. For example, God of War Ragnarok was really great, but for some reason, it was just so anticlimactic at the end. I don't know why, it just didn't feel as grand as it should have been. Whereas Death Stranding 2, the ending for that was grand. Like, the battle with Higgs, the dialogue, the cutscenes, the plot twist with Tomorrow being Lou, everything was so grand, so big. It ended with a bang, and I love that. Another game is Spider-Man 2. That whole game was absolute dog shit. Spider-Man 2 was so mid. It was so garbage. I did not enjoy it. I finished the game start to finish, and I hated it. I hated it. The final battle sucked. Everything about Spider-Man 2 sucked. Yet the first game was so good. The story was good. The characters, the villains, it was crazy. But a lot of these games, they just don't have that spark like they have in the first game. And when I went into Death Stranding 2, I had high expectations for it. And yet, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, I'm like, yo, how is this game gonna be better than the first? Like, that's what I was worried about. I wanted this game to be better than the first. I wanted it to have that feeling, that spark to it. And it had that and 10 times more. Not even 10, it had 100 times more than that, 1,000 times more than that. It had everything the first game had, but better. But it was so awesome to see. They outdid themselves with this game. The ending for the game, it seemed like they were teasing Death Stranding 3. I looked it up. Apparently, Kojima said that if there is a Death Stranding 3, he has ideas for Death Stranding 3, but if there is one, he's not going to work on it. He's going to have somebody else work on it. And yeah, I just think this game was just as good as the first one, and I think this game was even better than Expedition 33, which I'm saying because I loved Expedition 33. I loved it, and I'm like, holy crap, this game might just win Game of the Year because it's that good. But when I started Death Stranding 2, I had so much faith in it, and my expectations were blown away. I think Death Stranding 2 deserves Game of the Year. I think Death Stranding 2 just had this raw emotion that no other game has ever done so far. And I really mean that with all my heart. Like, I have not seen a game that has done what Death Stranding has done. And Expedition 33 was kind of close, but it did not have that raw emotion the way Death Stranding 2 has. It's just the way Kojima made his cutscenes, the music, and the dialogue all just connecting, and the ambience of the game, the emotions of the characters, the backstories of the characters, especially Nirvana. When you find out his backstory, how he was just protecting Lou this whole time. He had a duty, and he did that duty, and it was just everything was amazing. And I was heartbroken when I found out Fragile was dead. I just couldn't believe it. And the game had a very bittersweet ending to it because throughout the game, I had a feeling somebody was gonna die. The stakes were just too high. I'm like, there's no way nobody's gonna die because the first ending had a very happy ending to it. The first ending, he pulls Lou out the incinerator. He's trying to bring her back to life. He doesn't want to get rid of her, and somehow it works. She's alive, and he basically runs away with her. So that was a very happy ending. So I'm like, there's no way this game's gonna have a happy ending. There's no way. So it was a very bittersweet but happy ending because Fragile ended up dying, and I was so sure Tomorrow was gonna die. The way Tomorrow kept going into the front lines, fighting Higgs, like and oh, there was another time where she fought Higgs. The first time she fought Higgs during in the DHV Magellan, it was insane. Like, time slowed down. She literally destroyed Mecha Higgs like within an instant. It was crazy. So again, she's always on the front lines fighting. Then the second time she fought Higgs, she's literally like battling him. She survived somehow. I was so sure she was about to die in that scene. And then the third time where she's being used as a sacrifice. Oh my god! Like, the way they kept showing her cutscenes, I was so sure she was gonna die. But it turned out Fragile died. It turned out that Lou didn't die. It turned out that Fragile was able to save Lou, but in the process she died. But her heart and Ka got separated, so her body was still alive for a little while longer. Her final wish was to travel with Sam and the crew to stop Higgs. So I think everybody's story was so beautifully done. And yeah, I give this game a 10 out of 10. It has been amazing. And no game, I think this is really up there with Red Dead Redemption 2. I consider this just as good as Red Dead Redemption 2. It is one of the greatest games ever made. I think they have outdone themselves. And if there's a Death Stranding 3 coming, I won't complain. We'll probably play it tomorrow. But I still hope Kojima somehow plays a role in the directing of it, because without him, I don't know, because it's his love for cinematic scenes that makes Death Stranding Death Stranding. Because if you look into Kojima's Twitter account, his interviews on YouTube, he has a love for making cutscenes, and I think he has done insanely well on Death Stranding 2. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Death Stranding 2 real quick. Um, Again, one of the greatest games I've ever played, up there with Red Dead Redemption 2, and it really evokes an emotion out the player. Like, it was just so good. I would say take your time playing it. People need to take their time playing it. I've seen people on YouTube, right, after I was done with the stream, I was so glad I didn't run into any spoilers. So after I was done playing Destiny 2, I went on YouTube, and I see people who are finishing the game in like 20 hours, 22 hours. They did not take their time playing the game. And I would say take your time playing the game because it's worth it. Every hour playing this game is so worth it. But yeah, that's all for today. I just wanted to talk about this real quick. Um, yeah, I think this game is amazing. See you guys next time.